Thanks for joining us. This is The World Now. We start off with this latest development where Spain, Norway and Ireland have formally recognized a Palestinian state in a decision approved by their cabinets. Meanwhile, Gaza's health ministry says 46 people have been killed and 110 injured across Gaza in the latest 24-hour reporting period. We'll have more in this report.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has confirmed the official recognition of a Palestinian state by the Spanish cabinet. Mr. Sánchez describes this as a historic decision that has a single goal: to help Israelis and Palestinians achieve peace. He further emphasized that this decision is not against anyone, particularly not Israel, and reiterated Spain's complete and categorical rejection of Hamas. Similarly, Norwegian Foreign Minister stated that Norway officially recognizing Palestine as a state signifies a milestone in the relationship between Norway and Palestine. In another development, an Israeli airstrike in Gaza has reportedly resulted in the death of at least 35 persons, hours after Hamas launched a barrage of rockets at Tel Aviv. Reports say a large number of individuals remain trapped in the tents for housing displaced people, which have now been destroyed by the shelling. Israel's army continues to pound Rafah. The attacks comes one night after Israeli forces bombed a tent camp housing displaced Palestinian in a designated safe zone in Rafah, killing 45 people. Israeli military confirmed it carried out the attack on the camp, saying it targeted Hamas fighters. Kuwait Specialist Hospital, one of Rafah's two remaining hospitals, has shut down due to Israeli attacks. Meanwhile, global condemnation is mounting over Israel's airstrike on a camp for displaced persons in Rafah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls the strike, which killed two senior Hamas officials, a tragic error. But he said it will not end the war in Gaza until the military's goals are complete. The strike comes days after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its offensive in the city, adding to the unprecedented level of diplomatic pressure that Netanyahu is facing over the war in Gaza.
And Foreign Affairs analyst Kelechi Deka joins me to discuss the official recognition of Palestinian state by some European countries. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure joining you.
As you begin to, or the reports of this recognition of Palestinian states are trickling in, does it seem to you like the Netanyahu government has brought itself to an impasse, whether in terms of security and foreign relations?
Yeah, right from onset, even from the beginning of the war, the government knew where it was going, and the government knew that, being able to carry out such massive attacks that will also raise a lot of questions is part and parcel of its agenda, because it is using this war just as a political tool to remain in power. Because you notice that the level of outcries within even his own government, within Israel, is rising. But he has a lot of people supporting him within the Zionist movement. And as long as he has this kind of support, he will continue to fight this war to maintain that support both within Israel and in the United States of America. And also continue this support is also pushing Hamas to continue fighting. So it is a kind of, it's a conundrum full of complexities that will take a lot of time to untangle.
But has Netanyahu now ironically created the very thing that he did not want, which is the Palestinian state?
Yeah, he has always maintained that he does not want that two-state proposal. And that's why that idea of two-state proposal has dragged for a long time. Not only him, there are a lot of elements within Israel that don't want the two-state proposal, even though there are a lot of Israelis that want the two-state proposal. But as long as Netanyahu does not want it, Hamas does not want it, because Hamas is not even fighting for peace. Same way Netanyahu is not fighting for peace. This war will keep on dragging on. And it's the 7th month we are in, and nothing has happened except deaths and blood and tears all over the whole place. They will keep on working on it, because the continuation of this war is working for Netanyahu's continued stay in power, and it's also working to keep Hamas doing what they're doing and getting as many support as they can from Iran and from Qatar and other elements out there. And why what's coming from Europe now is a kind of a flicker of hope. But the big diplomatic powers in Europe, they are yet to come out to support this. Until you have Germany, France, and UK, start supporting this, is not going to have the kind of effect a lot of people expect that it will have. But though, I will not neglect that this is a kind of a flicker of hope.
But as this war, if this war continues to drag on, do you think that UK, Germany, France, and even the US would eventually recognize a Palestinian state?
Yeah, presently, America is going into an election. And, and so many countries all over the world are also going into an election. India is going into an election. South Africa is going into an election. And what's happening in Israel is an electoral topic in most of these countries. And because of how controversial it is, because of how sensitive it is, so many politicians are not likely to address it with the kind of what is needed to address. Some of them are going to kind of pamper over it because they don't want to lose votes. But maybe after the election, some of them might stand up firmly and take the decision. And everybody knows that what will lead to seeming peace in that region is a two-state solution. And we've been on this since the Norway Accord and the Camp David Accord. Everybody knows what should be done, but they don't want to do it. And the complexity of it is because of who is supporting Hamas and who does not want Hamas within the region, even within the Arab countries.
And let's talk about Hamas and who wants Hamas. A lot of analysts who have looked at this issue believe that it's an arrangement that would be a win-win situation for all except for Hamas and Iran. Will this lead to a change in the leadership in Gaza? Will this force out Hamas?
Because they know that if there is a two-state solution, there's most likely going to be peace. And if there is peace, there is no need for war. And if there is no need for war, Hamas will face an existential challenge. And that's the existential challenge that Hamas does not want. Even though Iran is going to have an election within this week or so, but it's not going to change anything because we know who is in charge of the powers in Iran. But Iran is also using Hamas as a tool within the Middle East, which its influence will continue to wane. So that's the situation. But countries like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, they don't want Hamas. But in as much as they don't want Hamas, they are also treading softly about how they relate with Israel, trying to present a kind of front that they want Israel to respect the lives and property of ordinary Palestinians while keeping quiet on how Israel should deal with Hamas. That's why what's happening, the opening in Rafah and some other regions is somehow a little bit complicated.
Thank you so much for your time and your analysis, as always. Foreign Affairs Analyst Kelechi Deka.